Mariners just made a trade. They have just traded for infielder Jorge Polanco from the Minnesota Twins, and didn't see this coming because we thought Mariners were going to go for Dylan Cease, which I personally didn't think it was going to happen, and I didn't think it was going to be a great idea because Mariners really need to fix that offense because that offense is just bleeding to death. But Mariners got their infielder, which I guess maybe replaces the whole void of Eugenio Suarez. But before we get into this, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And now let's get into the video. All right, so Mariners got Jorge Polanco from the Minnesota Twins, and here was the package from what I saw that has been reported. So the Mariners gave up Anthony DeScalfini, who was part of that Robbie Ray trade, then Gabriel Gonzalez, Darren Brown, and Justin Topa. Now, the two losses that I'm seeing on this one that's going to really sting the most is Justin Topa and Gabriel Gonzalez. Justin Topa, one of the better bullpen pitchers of the Mariners, who maybe could have competed for that closer role because he did very well last season, although he had somewhat of a rocky start, but he still came around and turned out to be one of the more effective pitchers in the bullpen. And now that, because of that move, that really does leave a hole in the bullpen now that, you got to find some kind of a replacement for that one. And then Gabriel Gonzalez is going to be a big loss because he was an outfield prospect who had an OPS above 800. And Gabriel Gonzalez, he was doing very well. He went right through Modesto. He went right through Everett. He was only 20 years old, and he was on his way to maybe get into the big leagues in not too long of time. So the Mariners, they definitely put a cost on this. And who in the world is Jorge Soler? Now, Jorge Polanco. Did I say Soler? I meant to say Polanco. Now, here was his numbers for last season. He hit 14 home runs, 48 RBIs, batted .255 with a .335 on-base percentage in 80 games. So even then, he's still on pace to strike out over 100 times. Probably will not even go into the 200s, which the Mariners desperately needed to get rid of in the strikeout department. But if you really think about it, he's only played 2 healthy seasons out of his entire career. From 2016 all the way to 2023, he has had a season where he did not complete 150 games or more. At least six times where he did not complete 150 games. So the injury part is going to concern me, which is why now it makes sense why the Mariners have so much on the infield of platoon players. Josh Rojas at second base. Then you got Luis Urias, who's also an injured prone. So that infield is very concerning. So, I don't think the Mariners really did solve that much of the problems. And especially for the cost to get him, I think this was a pretty substantial cost. You can't really guarantee that Jorge Polanco is actually going to work out due to his injury history. And he still strike out quite a bit, but he does have a good on-base percentage. So I guess the Mariners believe that they are done with their infield. Now I really hope that Ryan Bliss really does work out, but at least that does put less pressure to rush him into the major leagues. Whew. But man, and it makes it look like that. I think that the Mariners are probably going to stop getting anyone at this point. I think this may be their last move because I don't see the Mariners getting Blake Snell. I don't see them getting Cody Bellinger, even though they clearly need them. But of course, the ownership of the Mariners is just not going to do it because they just don't want to spend the money, which really did cost their chance for the 2023 World Series because all they had to play was Houston or Texas and then Arizona, which could have been not so difficult of a task to get through, especially when those teams, I think they could have easily been competable. The ownership just doesn't do it. So overall, how I feel about this trade, I'm nervous about it because they traded quite a bit to get Jorge Polanco. At least he has power in his bat. His best season was 2021, where he hit 33 home runs and 98 RBIs. But that injury bug is going to be a concern. And hopefully all that platooning that the Mariners are doing will limit those injuries. But those are my quick thoughts on this trade. I just did a quick video because I just thought I do. But I'm going to talk about it more in depth in the live show with Jay Trident podcast. So check that out when you get the opportunity, which is 6 p.m. Most of you are probably going to miss this by the time you get to this video, but you'll see the replay of it anyway. So go ahead and check that out. And thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification.